Greetings, everybody. I have a little treat for you in my review today. A visual concept developed game released in 1994. It is Lester the Unlikely for the Super NES. This is a game that gets a lot of hate, but I really like it. And hopefully I'm going to try to give you an unbiased review based on prior experiences, but let's check it out. So let's start up with the story. Meet Lester, just a typical teenager, kinda geeky, kinda sleepy. Wow, the new issue of Super Duper Hero Squad is the best ever. I just wish I could afford to buy a copy of each of this issue's 52 different covers. That'd show the guys how cool I am. So basically, you're a nerd. Alright, you're a nerd that likes comics. And he's a very unlikely hero, hence the name of the game, Lester the Unlikely. I think I'll lie down here and finish reading my comic. Alligator Gal molted last issue. I wonder what she looks like. Now, he falls asleep, but Lester picked a bad place to take a nap. Will the captain believe his story about being a reluctant stowaway? Probably not. Really how stingy things are nowadays, this probably wouldn't get him very far in the early 2020s. Maybe 94 this worked out. As chance would have it, Lester's freighter was hijacked and scuttled by pirates. Luckily, before the ship sank, Lester found a life vest and swam for the nearest tropical island. Alright guys, we're going to get started soon. The presentation right off the rip, this is really nice. I kind of like this little style here. Ooh, where am I? Why are my arms so tired? The last thing I can remember is the ship. Pirates. Oh no, my comic is a soggy mess. I want to go home. I better find somebody to help me get off this island. Alright, let's start off with these graphics. This is pretty nice. I like it, personally. So, Lester here is a rotoscoped character, as you can see, which is pretty neat. He moves very slow, very sluggish, and he has quite the leap for a dork. And yes, he makes that noise every time he climbs up something. And sometimes he refuses to cooperate with your inputs because he is unlikely and scared. There he is, having a little shake. I didn't control that. The computer did that. Now, let's continue on graphics before we... This game is so quirky and has so much little personality, I get a little distracted. But anyways, there's some nice parallax scrolling in the background with these clouds. While the foreground items aren't really much to speak of. These rock textures are kind of lame. These palm trees are whatever. The sand is whatever. A little reminiscent of Cool Spot right now. But the sprite of Lester himself really animates quite nicely. And there's another... I did not control that either. While he does animate nicely, he's very sluggish because of the rotoscoping. But yeah. Anyways. These graphics are quite nice. I have no complaints, really. While not super detailed, they do the job. As we continue on, the music is quite nice. I remember liking this as a kid. This like tropical beach vibe here. Like steel drumish, but no steel drums type of beach theme going on here. I really enjoyed this, at least in the early levels. Remember, he is on a tropical island after all. So this kind of matches up and it makes sense. The sound effects are decent. Lester's grunting can get a little grinding after a while. But everything else from him thudding around... Oh, that's another thing we'll get to in just a second. Him stomping around, hitting enemies. It all works out. It comes together in a nice little package. Next level, kind of. Alright, let's continue on to controls. This is really where things get interesting. Lester can move left, now right. He can bend down. He can't really look up. He has a weak kick attack. Very gingerly placed his little footsie there on people and flips them over, like on this little enemy crab. The giant enemy crab. Other than that, if you hold down the Y button, you can do a run, which helps you leap further, which we will see shortly. His jump is extremely interesting. I'm going to show you what I mean right now. If you press just B, he just jumps and he goes a little distance forward. Now, if you hold down and you sprint, you can jump higher. Now, another thing. You want to reach that ledge, don't you? If you press B right under it, he's just going to leap forward. You have to be kind of precise, line yourself up just right, and press up and jump. And then will lesser or unlikely hero kind of pull himself up there. Check it out. There you go. Spikes, I don't know if they're instant death, but they're pretty bad. So let's take a running leap. There we go. That was quite the hops. I assume those seaweed looking things will hurt you, and that turtle's no joke. So let's take a running leap and grab onto that ledge. There we go. Yeah, it's actually kind of precise. Once you get the nuances down, he's does pretty well. Now another thing is Lester's such a loser and kind of a nerd that you have to carefully descend platforms too. There is fall damage on a platformer, which is not the greatest thing that we could have. But hey, it's here. So I try to kind of always carefully descend. There you go. Oh, and also pressing the X button, you can pick up items off the ground and use them, such as those canteens, which are your life meter as represented in the top center there, next to the life counter. You'll notice on the left there's a square that says weapons. Later there are rocks and things that Lester can one-time use and throw at enemies. And then the item, which is our keys and things like that to pass blocked obstacles. Well, we can duck away from those seagulls because there's really no way to hurt those guys. At least not that I know of. But yeah, the controls are relatively smooth. With X is to pick up or also push stuff. And now we go into the caves, which gets a little bit trickier. Remarkably, he doesn't take fall damage there. So here we go. We have some blind jumps, but we're not going to jump. We're going to turn around until he does this animation, face the other way, and then press down to descend. Here we have a rock. This we can use pressing the A button to attack, to throw at bats, rats, tigers, wizards, whatever we run into on our journey. Now, the only thing I can say that's kind of when the negatives start to hit are, I would say the level design is a little, especially these cavern levels, is kind of all over the place. One of those where do I go type of structures where nothing's really clearly laid out for you. But they're small enough of levels where you can kind of figure things out on your own. A walkthrough is not really needed here. Let's go right into the nostalgia factor. When I was a wee lad, I used to rent this game in particular, a lot. And yeah, I know it's not the best game, but for some reason it kind of stuck with me. I really liked Lester as a character and what a nerd he is. And I got kind of far in this game. I remember I never beaten this one because the challenge does get a little absurd. You get, I think, 3 lives and 3 continues. And that's it. I don't believe there is a password feature, even though the game kind of desperately needs it, in my opinion. Here we go, some bats. Oh, they scared Lester. I did not control that. He ran away. There we go. That was a mighty throw. Let's find our rock and pick it up again. But yeah, this is fun, and the tropical atmosphere is nicely done throughout the whole game. Later on, there are bosses, and they can be kind of fun to fight, and some kind of set pieces, if you will, of your adventure that will take you to unlock things, place items on altars to kind of go further to a haunted graveyard, which is kind of as far as I got, I remember. The haunted graveyard itself is pretty neat. Okay, and but the game does suffer. Like I said, has unfair moments. Like there was no way I wasn't gonna make that jump, or there was no way I was gonna make that jump without hurting myself, basically taking fall damage. It just happens. You have to just carefully kind of go through the game, be wary of everything. And the only other critique I remember, and even magazines said this of this game, was that they find it a little unfair that you have this limited amount of lives until you can kind of commit the actions that you have to take in this game to memory to survive each level. Because there is some fair amount of memory involved in here of what you have to do and how, and what items are needed to progress further in each given level. I remember there was one level in particular that you were trapped in it. I don't know how that water droplet hit me, but it did. There was one level in particular where you were trapped in a cage by one of the tribesmen, and you have to wait as kind of he comes along and steal the key off his person by reaching near this little move, this little butt shuffle thing, and grabbing the key off his pocket. Now, when you do that, You're supposed to obviously unlock your cage and run out, but he immediately pivots and throws spears at you and kills you. Now, there isn't a way to distract him, so he doesn't do that, but that only happens once in the game, as far as I know. So that's kind of unique. You know, they put you in little situations. There's puzzles even of how to arrange sets of skulls in a graveyard later on to kind of progress. Neat stuff. I think they had a lot of good ideas going in, but it didn't come together and gel very well. It didn't execute right. Yeah, so that's kind of it for Lester the Unlikely. I would highly recommend checking it out. I don't think this is a game that you need to own, even though the price is laughably cheap, I believe, for this one. And it has really neat cover art of Lester there with his jungle babe, you know, doing the rescuing and being an unlikely hero. Yeah, so check it out. Not a must own, but not as bad as people make it out to be. I know the Angry Video Game Nerd did kind of attack this game in one of his reviews, and it was good stuff. Yeah, it deserves the criticism, for sure. For sure. But is it that terrible? Is it unplayable? Definitely not. This nostalgia might be speaking, but I enjoy it. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little review of Lester the Unlikely for the Super NES. And until the next review, I'll catch you next time.